welcome to my half-assed kitchen, where today I'm making beef and onion pie. This is a UK favorite dish, or at least people in the UK like it. You don't see it too much here. But it's a form of a meat pie, and it's basically beef. In this case, we're going to be using ground beef, or mince, as they call it over there, and onions and some other stuff. So let's take a look at what we've got for ingredients. Here we've got the ingredients. Over here I've got 2 large onions. Well, the recipe actually calls for 3 mediums, but I only have 2 large. 2 sticks of this carroty thing, 2 ribs of celery, bay leaf, English mustard, Worcestershire sauce, olive oil, and beef broth. I know what you're thinking. You're thinking, hey, where's the beef? It's in the refrigerator. I didn't want to set it out on the counter and get warm and sick and stuff, but we have beef.
Okay, so let's get started with the chopping. Now, the recipe calls for your celery and your carrot to be chopped up into big chunks where you can get those really nice, tasty, bitey chunks inside your meat pie. We'll come to that in a little bit, but let's start off that way. And then the onion, it needs to be chopped up pretty fine, so we're going to give it a run on the board and then we'll take it to the chopper. Well, the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to knock the ends off the celery, and then I'm going to cut it up into about 1/4-inch chunks. I'm going to do the same thing with the carrot, 1/4-inch pieces approximately. Not really a big fan of carrots, but I'm going to keep them in the recipe. The onions have always been destined to go in the food processor, but I'm just quartering them up to make them easier to go in, and also makes it quick to take the outer layer off, and also remove that little core that's in there in some onions. Like I said, some people really like the large chunks of celery and carrot. I personally don't, and so it's all going in the food processor. That's the only way to be sure. I'm just giving it short pulses. We don't want to puree everything. We just want to get rid of those big, nasty chunks.
That's looking pretty solidly good. All right.
I forgot to mention we also need a couple of sprigs of rosemary all cleaned and chopped up, so we'll nip out to the garden and get those. Now that all the vegetables are chopped up, I've added 2 tablespoons of oil to this pan and heated it up, and now we're going to cook them all. Don't those nice small bits all look lovely and easily digestible? The recipe also calls for 2 bay leaves, and here's where I put the rosemary in. Those get fried up with the rest of the stuff.
So now while the vegetables are cooking for about 10 minutes till they get all nice and soft and translucent, and we're going to have to stir them about every minute, but for about 10 minutes of cooking on high heat. In the meantime, we're going to get the last of the non-meat ingredients out here because we're going to put them in all at once along with the meat. The first is Worcestershire sauce, and this one, I love Worcestershire sauce. The recipe calls for a tablespoon, and you can't go wrong with 2, so we're going to go with 2 tablespoons of that. The second one is English mustard. That is English mustard. Takes 1 teaspoon, which is not much in the grand scheme of things. So, you know, I've debated whether I should get the proper English mustard or just use mustard around the house, but anyway, I went ahead and got it. I've never had English mustard before, and Can't say that's a particularly appealing scent. I like mustard all right. That smells more like Dijon mustard. And then the final ingredient is Marmite. Different people have different opinions about Marmite. My opinion is it's one of the most disgusting things ever made by mankind. But what it's supposed to do in this recipe, and it only takes 1 teaspoon, so it's, again, a very small quantity. The difference is, mustard, I'm willing to buy a bottle of the mustard. But Marmite, no way. That's not going to come in handy around this house, so I didn't do it. So the alternative is you need something that's umami. Umami is the poser word for savory. So we need some sort of a savory thing, and that's defined by, we could, I guess, put in MSG, but we're not going to. We're going to go straight for some miso, also a teaspoon, that we happen to have around the house. So with those 3 ingredients, we're going to go back along with our meat, and we're going to mix it all up. First thing we do is we pour in 3 cups of beef broth. And we follow that up with our Worcestershire sauce, mustard, and miso. Some flour to help it thicken. Finally, we crumble in a pound of ground beef. We're just breaking it up to make it easier to stir and cook. Once we've got all the beef mixed in, we're going to let it cook until it comes to a boil. Wow, that was quick, wasn't it? Well, we'll just stir it one more time. We're going to reduce the heat down to medium-low, and we're going to cover it and let it cook. We're going to let this cook for about an hour. You're going to stir it periodically. And, oh, here we are. And it's all done. So let's skip the boring part. That's where you take this out, put it in a pie crust, and bake it. I did say this was the half-assed kitchen, didn't I?